she normally does for us. So I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. She usually has someone approve the minutes from last meeting, so if I can get a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you. A second? Second? We'll call it a motion approved. So here's the meeting minutes if you want to give them another go around. Freeland is not with us today either, but Mr. Ryerson, if you want to give us a treasurer's report, we'll go ahead and do that.
We had a phone conversation this morning. He said, I have one thing to say. We still have the $41,000 we had last 10 years.
All right.
He's not well, and he didn't want to come and infect you all, so anyway, he's not here.
Well, we hope he's feeling better soon. I'll go ahead and move into my update. I wanted to start out today talking about commutation a little bit. I know it was all over the news, and it was, Armageddon. We're letting them all loose. That is not true at all. So I wanted to kind of give you some numbers on how that affected us, and a little comparison. We had 18 inmates here that qualified under that new commutation rule. Of that 18, 2 discharged before the commutation date ever came, and then 2 of that remaining 16 actually discharged to other jurisdictions. So they went to other counties to finish out time that they still had. So we had 14 that day that discharged to the street. We did a lot of wraparound re-entry with them, making sure they had housing, making sure that they had places to go and jobs to go to and all that. So we did a lot of wraparound with them. Medical needs, if they had any kind of medical needs or mental health needs, we met all those, making sure that they had medication to go with them and all that. So we didn't just kick them to the curb and said good luck. And we do what we have always done with this program. We still offer our help out. I told every one of them, if you're about to jump off that cliff, don't call us, and we will still reach out to them and help them to not recidivate. So even though that went into effect, doesn't mean that we just kick them to the curb and say good luck. As a comparison, we had 18 or 16 that week that actually left. We had 19 come in. So it really didn't impact us in the way that I think a lot of people think it impacted the whole state. Now there was quite a few that left other facilities, but as far as this facility goes, not that much. Our numbers are down from where they were 5 years ago. When I came on board here, the day I came on board, we were 767. That was way more than this facility was ever meant to have, and we were maxed out. Deputy was chief then, and we spent a lot of evenings, taking care of business just because there's a lot of people to deal with. My count today is 379. I can't exactly tell you why that number is what it is. I think it's a combination of things. 780 and 781 have been in effect for 2 years now. So I think that sentencing matrix has kind of kicked in, and there's a lot of people that no longer qualify for delayed sentencing. Or maybe we have expanded GPS qualification now, so there's a lot more people going to GPS. The atmosphere in the public these days is, for the counties to expand their use of drug court in lieu of incarceration. And I think a lot more of the counties are using the drug courts, and that has started affecting the number that qualify to come here. I have submitted some proposed legislation that will expand the age that people will qualify for delayed sentencing, to kind of offer that to a few more people. Again, I don't know exactly what's affecting that number, but we're actually back to where we were originally built for. This place was originally built for 300. So we're I think, tell me if I'm wrong, I think we're rocking along pretty good right now. Throw out a couple numbers here. Our career tech has been in place. We got it back about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years in February. I asked him to give me some numbers this morning, and I'm pretty proud of these. We've had 214 that have been through some of the classes there. Now, he has a full program. 93 have been through the full program, but because of their sentence length, we try to get them in what we can and make it fit how long they're here. We've had 214 with some training. Of that 214, only 3 have recidivated. I think that's pretty awesome. I think that is really awesome. And I'm hoping that, 5 years from now I can say we've had 800 go through and only had 10 recidivate. For the delayed sentencing kids who have had no exposure to basic carpentry, basic plumbing, I think it is the most important thing that we have added to this program in the last 2 years. And I think the numbers are starting to reflect that. As far as my staffing goes, I have a total of 125 staff members. That's security and support staff. I still have 34 vacant correctional officer places. With that new $2 an hour raise, we are seeing an uptick in applications, so I'm really thankful for that. If you know of anybody that's interested, Bill Johnson actually has a Facebook page. Click on the header and it'll take you right straight to our application for Bill Johnson. So we've got that going. Let's see, what else have I got here? Kind of an update on the roof for the chapel. We've got a committee in place that has been kind of looking at different options there. Just kind of kicking around different things that we can possibly do. I will say that we have made a patch to the roof. At present, it's holding. We still have some damage that occurred inside the chapel because of it. Went out, had deputy go out and look today. That patch is not holding. Recent winds and things like that have, I'm kind of leaning on my committee because I don't know what else to do for that roof. We are proposing some help from the chapel fund, but that has not been totally decided just yet. So we're still kicking around some ideas on what to do there.
I'd say one thing about that.
Okay.
I've been furnishing shingles, patching with. We'll continue as long as we've got some on hand.
I think it's the subroofing that is causing the issue. I think maybe we have. Rex, you can kind of help me with that. I think we've been nailing and patching and nailing and patching and nailing and patching. The subroof is no longer holding. And there's something else going on with it. You can look at that roof and across the entire way, it almost looks like it's waving. I will say when the committee comes back together and meets, I think that taking those shingles off is no problem. I think our inmates can do that and save a lot of money in doing that. It's the putting them back on I'm a little more concerned with. Most of my inmates are 18 to 25 years old and have very little experience in doing that kind of, and it was inmates that put the original roof on, and now I'm having trouble, and I don't want 10 years down the road to have trouble again. So that is one thing that I'm asking the committee to decide and look at.
Has the committee considered metal?
Yes, we've thrown that out there. I think one of the estimates, and I have some estimates here if you'd like to look at that. If we go back with composite, I believe it's called, I'm not a roofing expert, so composite, it's about anywhere from, my estimates are anywhere from 13 to 18,000, and that's with them taking the old stuff off. You can cut about $4,000 to $5,000 off of that if we take it off. A metal roof is anywhere from, I've got estimates from 22,000 to 28,000. So it's significantly higher. But I will say, all my roofs are here and they're 25 years old, and I've had very little maintenance issues with them. So, but
They are metal.
From an aesthetic viewpoint, composite is prettier. It really is. And if the Citizens Advisory Committee pays for the material, then we've got many more options. I can use any vendor. I can use Star to buy my stuff. I can use Erickson. I can use local vendors. If that's where the money comes from. If I use state funding to fix that, I'm at the mercy of whoever's on that contract. And that may be somebody from Oklahoma City that I don't know. And so, I would much rather keep it local than to have to go through state purchasing, because it is a nightmare. You have to 3-bid it, and it's whoever gets the bid. So that was another thing I wanted the committee to kind of consider.
Since we're in the trade business, learning new trades,
Mhm.
why not let them hire someone to be the supervisor for it to be done correctly, and to let them put the roof on and learn a trade of how the way to do it is.
Well, you run into the liability that goes along with that. I can't just hire somebody from the outside to come do that. And I don't have people on staff. Now, I have an electrician who can take an electrical motor apart and do all kinds of miracles. I have really good electricians, and I have really good mechanical engineers. But basic construction people, I don't have them on staff that know that much about roofing.
Is there someone in the state system?
Right now, the only people that we have, I've reached out and asked on that. The roofing people that we have right now are caught up in this whole bond issue thing, and they are all over the state. It would probably be, a guesstimate 2 years before they would ever get to us, because we're kind of a low priority. And I'm afraid of the damage that I don't know that we can wait that long. No, I did. With C&M, our construction and maintenance does have a roofing department, and I did reach out to them because I wanted them to come look at it. I'm not a roofing person, I don't know. So I actually had them come and look at it and kind of point me in the right direction. So.
Well, I think we have a beautiful building, and I think composite shingles are the appeal of it. I think it needs to be the nicest building in your facility. So I'm not directly opposed to metal, but I feel like the composite shingles go along with the integrity and the structure and the ambiance that the chapel represents. So I'd be in favor of that. I don't think it's the wrong time of year to apply shingles anyway.
True.
Right, Richard? If we were going to do anything, it's the
Absolutely.
wrong time. It needs to be warmer.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think Liz brings a good point. I think using inmate labor to remove is an excellent idea, and I think that's something the committee has considered and will consider in the future. And so I think we've opened up some good ideas.
I will bring, I have a career tech here. I will bring them into the process. There will be a learning process in that. I'm just saying, I would rather rely on a professional to actually put that on. I'm not saying that they won't be in the process, but to be able to hire a vendor to come in and do that, from everyone I've talked to, that would be the best option.
I think we have too valuable of an asset there not to take care of.
Oh, yeah.
I will probably ask the committee to meet again before our next meeting. I would really hope that we could get a decision by first part of January. If, the funding for this doesn't go this way, I really think my budget is going to change next year. And so, that's the end of my budget year. So there are things that I want to purchase, and that's where I'm kind of focusing right now. But if this becomes the priority, I'm going to have to reorganize and reprioritize. And there are just things that I won't be able to do. So hopefully by the next, we're going to try and shoot for a January Citizens Advisory meeting, and that'll give me enough time to figure out within my own budget what to do. So, are there any questions on that?
I'd have one comment. One of the cheapest things you can do is tear off the shingles, and particularly take them out to dump and dump them in their place they haul them off. They overcharge you if you get those little hoppers.
Mm-hmm.
They don't pick them up sometimes for a month.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want that. If you can get a truck someplace you can rent or borrow or something with sides on it, you can kick it off there and save a lot of money.
I would probably reach out to my other wardens and the facilities within the state. Every once in a great while, maybe OCI, Correctional Industries, the farm, or maybe one of them will have a dump truck of some sort.
Yeah. Might be somebody here in town who did it.
There might be. I will
There's a lot of wheat trucks around.
kind of cross that bridge when I get to it. You know, I got an old wheat truck that would probably work.
Yep.
You know, that would be probably, from a security standpoint, that would probably be, you know, a better option than leaving a dumpster sitting, because I know that's what we normally
yeah,
do. We
we
put
do
one of
this
those big
all the time.
roll-offs and, inmates kind of do silly things there, so, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Just talk about it.
Yeah.
The interior damage, is that something we need to address?
It is minimal at this time from what I can see. That building was built with little to no attic access. So in order to get up there to see, I have to actually take lights out of the ceiling. Rex, I think we talked about actually cutting a attic access so that we can get up in there and really see. All we can see is the exterior damage. You know, the paint has bubbled in that one corner.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's a ways down from where the actual
You have
patch
spray
is, so.
insulation up in there, that foam insulation, and so the water is trickling down from different places, and so if there's more damage somewhere else, we haven't found it yet. This
So-
applies.
So it's blown insulation as opposed to batted insulation?
Yes.
Yes.
Foam.
Spray foam, Rex?
It's foam?
Spray
Spray foam?
foam, yeah.
Spray
Spray
foam.
foam,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's gonna be a little more difficult to trace the actual leak. I mean, we think we have.
And where it's leaking at, there's nothing up there that would cause it to leak other than the roof leak.
Yeah, there's no plumbing
There's no
or,
plumbing, there's
you know,
no-
the fire system, none of that
What about
we don't think
mold?
that's leaking.
What about mold?
I know, that's
that's-
another concern is mold.
Because if we have a leak that's on going right now, that it's not making it down to the sheet rock, it could be molding up there, we're not aware of it.
So, you know, the longer we wait,
It's getting bigger.
I know.
So what you're saying is we need to be ready to go when spring arrives? Very
Yes,
soon.
please.
Very soon.
Yes, please. I know it's the wrong time of year to actually put those on, so I want to have a plan in place as soon as the warm weather hits. And unless a vendor tells me that there's days in November that we can do that, or December, very doubtful. Definitely not January, February. But if we can, you know, by May, June, we will continue to patch and do what we can. But there's definitely the subroofing, there's something going on there. So,
Well, Kyle said we've got a very valuable asset, we need to protect it and repair it.
if anybody wants to come out and look at it, you're welcome to do that. We'll take you out there and let you look at it. I don't want anybody to think I'm, you know, exaggerating. I'm not, but you are welcome to come look at it.
I have a blue tarp.
A blue
I have a brown one.
We're gonna go with the brown, because blue, the game color.
That would flash Renee.
Coming from a farmer, we are not putting hay bales or tires on that roof. Not happening.
More effective than you.
No. No. I'm not, no. But,
Well, you just need to consider all options.
I know. Well, let's not put that one out there, though. Other than that, our programs are rocking right along. We're doing great. There's a lot of change in the administration down at Home City, so we're kind of rocking along with that as well. I think the technology that they are looking at updating agency-wide is just, I'm excited about that. They're actually investing in implementing like our offender management system and our telephone systems as things that need to be upgraded, so that's going to be, I'm looking forward to those. So.
Where do we stand on our cell phone legislation?
You know, I'd love to say that blockers are the know-all, be-all answer to everything, but simple fact is the FCC, it's a federal law. If I put a blocker up, that's a $10,000 a day fine. So I think nationwide, a lot of the Department of Corrections administrators are kind of coming together and really speaking with the FCC to see if we can come up with a solution. There are some beautiful pieces of software. I mean, they've got one right now where you put a cell phone tower up and, you know, cell phones will ping the closest tower, right? So they build a tower here. software in there that will filter out my phone and let my phone go, but won't let anybody else's. They've got some beautiful technology out there, but it's about $1 million a facility. So even though the technology's there, we can't afford it. So they're looking at some different options. I think that's not as far off as you think. But yeah, cell phones, they played a very significant role in that little thing that happened a month ago. Yeah, you're crazy if you think that they don't happen, because they do.
What's the greatest need that you see that we might be able to help with?
That chapel roof is probably my priority one right now, because I don't want any other damage inside that building. I use that building a lot, and it's a beautiful building that not every facility has. So I would say that's probably number one.
What's number two?
Number two, what would number two be?
Is there a need that's not being addressed? Is it, whether it's people or whether it's money? What can we do to help?
I'd have to think about that one a little bit.
So are you getting the applicants in?
We've seen an uptick in that, yes.
Todd, when I was
Yeah.
wondering because paying for an ad in the newsgram goes to a lot of places.
I tell you what, I do have an idea, I'm sorry. I don't know if the Citizens Advisory itself could help with this, but if you have connections within the rest of the community, Alva needs a daycare center. Alva needs a daycare center in the worst way. I know there's a lot of home, people that do daycare, but daycare is a problem.
The old Lutheran facility is reopening under new management.
Oh, it is. I wasn't aware of that.
Poof.
I wasn't aware of that. Poof.
Poof.
There we go. No, we do.
I only know that
is-
because I drive by there. I've seen
Oh,
that
okay,
too.
okay.
Ask some questions.
I would
Yes,
say
the
that's,
process of updating. They had mold, they had issues like the chapel, and they're bringing that up to compliance and should be open.
For a 24-hour facility, 7 days a week, if you don't have family that steps in and helps you, if you've got small children, or you have a significant other, that's tough. That is really tough, and I'm sure Northwestern, I can't be the only facility that struggles with that. We've got some bigger businesses here in town that I'm sure would benefit from that. Daycare would be huge. I'm happy to hear that, very happy to hear that. Recruitment and retention's always a big thing. Our recruitment is up, and our retention is up. The more people that I get on, I think we've got 3 getting ready to go to the academy this next month. By the time we get them out of the academy, we're gonna, stop me if I'm lying here, I think we're gonna be really close to 4 on 3 off.
Yeah, you're lying.
It's close. I'm not gonna say we're quite there yet, but when I get to that point, I start keeping people, because they really like that shift. So
So
the closer I can get to that, the better.
When we moved the academy to centrally located and took it out of the regions, how has that affected that training?
Ooh, you're gonna get me in trouble.
So you don't have to answer that now.
Well, no, I will. It comes back to childcare, a lot of it. I don't hire single females as much because of that. Because they don't have any place they can leave their children for an entire week. So when we had the regional academy, they go home every night. And so they're not burdening family members and friends with that. So yeah, we actually, I think, did do better. Now I understand the premise and the thinking behind consistency and, keeping all our training consistent across the state. I do get that, and I understand why they did what they did, but yeah,
So
I'm
move
a
the
bigger
trainers
fan of
instead
that.
of moving the employees.
That's my pick right there.
And when you say centrally located, you mean down there on the Texas border?
It's 5 hours one way, believe me, I know, I
I'd be
make
pretty
that
excited
drive.
if they located it in northwest Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
That'd be all right. No, it was a really good thing while it lasted, but it is what it is.
I guess you can't have childcare facility here.
There'd be a little liability with
Yeah,
that.
But you could have one off-site that you administer yourself, and some school districts are actually doing that. The teachers who have
Woodward.
children can run down and if they have to administer medicine or breastfeed or the like, they're right there in the same building. So that's a good system, but that we could do.
I know Woodward schools actually have a really good system. Burlington is implementing some stuff because there was no childcare in Burlington. So they've actually done some things, but my understanding is that Woodward's got a really, really good system in place that they actually run through the school actually runs it. So I don't know the ins and outs of that. I know there's a lot more policies and laws and different things that, I kind of lean on Severs when I have questions about that. He's sitting there shaking his head, he already knows. It's definitely a need, definitely a need.
So with the decreased population, do you feel like that you're doing a better, more effective job of training your trainees?
Absolutely.
Do you think when they leave here that they're more likely to be employed and stay?
Ask me that in 2 years and I'll give you the number straight up behind it, but yes, I
The odds are
absolutely believe
better,
that.
right?
Yeah, you get the chance to do more one-on-one and a lot more crisis counseling. I'm thinking of an inmate right now who was doing pretty well. His mother caught 6 years, so she's in prison now. The only other person in his life that really was a caretaker died and left him $10,000, and that is all he can think about right now. And he and I both know what he's going to do with that $10,000. It's either going to end up dead or back in prison. So we are shuffling and shuffling and shuffling, really working with that kid. The funny thing is, I asked him, what's your goals? You just want to go be a gangbanger? Just say so. He wants to build barbecue grills. Get that. I've never had anybody tell me that before. That's what his dream is. He wants to build barbecue grills. I'm like, okay, guy, can you weld? No. Okay, but I have programs I can send him to. They're not here. But Howard McLeod has a wonderful welding program. Dick Connor has a metal fabrication program. There are places that he is going to have enough time to do that if we can get him his GED, because he gave up on me. He gave up on me and didn't do the last 2 pieces of his GED. So I've kind of cut a deal with him. He gets that GED, I will send him to that program because I think that's his best shot. I think the cognitive behavior classes are great, that career tech and a different skill and the possibility to not go back to where he came from and be back in that same neighborhood doing that same stuff is the better option. I think his percentages are better. But overall, we're able to do more of that one-on-one kind of thing. And I think that right there will help a lot.
So the welding program is a possibility. I think that those were all on trailers that could be moved from facility to facility. If we raise the funds, maybe that's a project of ours, if we raise the funds for a welding trailer, could there be an instructor hired and we implement that into your career track program?
Actually, they are requesting through their budgeting another teacher. What I need is space. If I could get a building, a standalone building, that would probably benefit me more because I would turn that space that he's got right now into program space. He's outgrown it. He can only do 15 students at a time. I would love to increase that. Right now we're focusing on the delayed sentence kids because they have no skills. They just have no skills. Brennan, I laughed because he said, right after he started that program, he said, you'll never believe what I did today. I'm like, what? He goes, I had a 20-minute class on how to put drill bits in. You and I laugh, but that's the reality of it. And so every minute he spends with them, teaching them just the basics, how to unclog a toilet, those delayed kids, but they're here such a short time. He has to really, really stretch. And then the balance suspended guys down the hill, we're fitting those in as we can. So another teacher or a building, a standalone building would be huge.
So is there a chance for public-private partnership on that where we could raise some funds for a portion of a building and the state match it where we could get another building put in?
I'd sure put that forward. I would sure put that forward.
I don't think it does us good to sit here and not dream. and not
Oh,
put
yeah.
goals in front of us and try to do that. Because this advisory committee is very, very important to this community. And this facility is extremely important to this community. And I think if we don't start doing these kind of things, we'll be at risk of losing it. Both the Department of Corrections and the community need to understand that we're going to have to invest in this project in order to make it sustainable for the future.
You know, in just 2 years, we've got a 1.8 recidivism rate. 1.8. Now, anybody that knows data knows that you need 5 years of good data to be able to have a empirical. You need 5 years. But in 2 years' time, that's huge. And, you know, I'm just saying, I think that career tech is going to make a huge impact on the recidivism rate here.
There's
Yes. And that's kind of above my pay grade too, but I would absolutely go forward with the
I don't know
proposition.
why we don't at least find out what the numbers say.
I agree
We
with
could.
you, Tom. Because this is such a rural area, and with the oil and gas stuff, there's a lot of welders that are needed. And that's a
CDLs.
job.
CDLs are huge right now.
Well,
That's CDLs part of what we do in career tech. We get them ready, we prep them for the written portion of the CDL. Now, some legislation passed last year, I think it was Senate Bill 1269. I got it on a sticky note. I think it was 1269. Actually gave the ability for third-party entities, career tech, to actually do the written testing portion of CDLs. There's 8,000 CDL jobs out there today, and they're felon-friendly. So if we could do that, you know, I've asked our grant writers to see if there's any grants out there for a simulator, a CDL simulator. That's about $75,000. So maybe there's a grant, who knows? But I'm like you, I have delusions of grandeur. You know, I see things that we can do technology-wise for these kids. That why don't we? Why don't we?
I think the reinstatement of those licenses, that is a huge part of that too. When you have a plumber or a welder or an electrician who's been stripped away from that license and they come and do their time, maybe they're straightened out and then they can't ever get back to that pay grade because they've lost their license. So there's legislation out there that will allow some variance to that. I think we need to be talking.
You can't continually hamstring people and expect them to be successful. Part of our programming, we've implemented some new classes that specifically meet stipulations that we're seeing, that the DAs will say, you're going to do 140 hours of SAT, you're going to do batter's intervention, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. Well, we've got 141 hours of a Department of Mental Health certified, I love Northwestern for that meets that. So that's something they don't have to do on the outside. Batter's intervention, although statutorily I can never be a certified program, I bumped it right up against that statute, and we do everything that statute says. And then it's not 52 weeks and $1,500 on the outside, which, if you're working a minimum wage job, do you really want to tell your boss why you have to be off work every Friday? Because, you know, you did something really stupid, and you have to take this class? $1,500 is a lot to a minimum wage worker, so you just increase the chances that they're not going to be successful. So more and more what we're doing is gearing towards that. So everything we can do to make them successful. The driver's license thing, I'm not going to lie, that is a pain. That is just, security-wise, it just scares me to death sometimes, but a part of me says I know it's necessary. So I know that Jessica Brown, our public information person in Oklahoma City, is working with the Department of Public Safety to kind of help us with that process. But it is important. I mean, from the day they get here, we really push them to get their birth certificate, get your social security number, so you can have that when you leave. You gotta have it. I mean, how can you do it otherwise? One of the other things that, speaking of delusions of grandeur, and that career tech, we have partnered with a gentleman down in Oklahoma City by the name of Tom Jones, and he has a program called Bridges to Life. And get online and look it up. That is awesome. He is building these little communities that offenders can go and do low rent housing in. But what's really cool about it is even though it's lower rent housing, you're required to have a job. you'll have to UA. You are required to keep the yard. You are required to get along with your neighbors. You are required to grow a garden. And even though he doesn't say it out loud, it's teach a man to fish. I mean, he has all this stuff built into it. And again, delusions of grandeur, these are modular built homes. And I believe at some point, career tech comes into that. And we teach these kids how to build modular built homes that they're going to benefit from eventually. But Tom Jones has this wonderful program. He has a connection to 150 felon-friendly employers. I absolutely love what he's doing. He's fundraising right now. It's the only reason we haven't implemented it. We're just waiting for him to get... It doesn't cost the Department of Corrections anything. He's doing all the fundraising and paying for it all, which is just phenomenal. Phenomenal. But I have to show you the little houses that when you think of HUD housing, you kind of think of the projects, not so great, but this is just like nothing I've ever seen. They're these little duplexes and they're in these like little pods, and it's teaching them how to be good neighbors. So, what do you have?
I'll be able to get them up for the next advisory board meeting.
I will try to get Tom here the next advisory meeting and let y'all meet him, because he is just, what he's doing it's great. It is absolutely great. Inmates can start the computer portion of that program here, and if they transfer to their places or they discharge, they can finish that program on any computer. They have a username and a password, they get on, they finish, and once you finish the program, you can qualify for this housing, and it is just simply amazing. I'll get him up here so you guys can meet him, because he's pretty phenomenal. But I know, I'm sitting here talking. Y'all just let me talk, I'll talk.
We're listening.
I think that's about it for now.
I need a copy of the financial statement for the meeting minutes. And then did you say tell everybody about the 25th anniversary?
Oh, yes, September 4th of next year is our 25th anniversary, and we are already planning for it. So we will certainly bring a big celebration together. I've got some challenge coins that we're going to do. If you have any photographs of the Slick 7, I would love to have that. I have bits and pieces of photographs here and there, but I don't have one of the group. I was telling Mr. Ryerson I have the original Board of Corrections proposal that went in for this and where it was approved, which is kind of neat. But we're going to get some historical stuff together and have a big celebration, but we'll put more information out. But if you have any historical pictures of this place, I would love to have them, or a copy of them. Oh, I about forgot. We've made a request for some help with some funds for a microphone stand. Did you receive that? I don't know if everybody got that.
I didn't receive that, but I did get mentioned.
Okay. I'll hand this out real quick.
Freeman says yes.
Okay. It's I'll pass this around. It's a stand for the microphone for the pulpit. It's $167. But there that is. One other thing that is not on the agenda that, and I don't have prices for this, but I'm sure Star Lumber can kind of help me out with this. That pulpit is shot. It's nothing but particle wood and bad screws, and if I can get the material, my career tech will build it. So if y'all are okay with
You
that,
made a list of how to do it?
I've got a list of the material
Okay.
of what they need.
You get a copy of that? Or just-
Yeah, I need a copy of that. I'll get a copy of it from you.
I'll make the motion that we purchase the microphone stand and the materials for the pulpit.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much. That'll be a good project for my career tech guys too. The woodworking they do is pretty good. So, any other questions, comments? All right, we'll put something out in closer to January for the chapel roof committee to come together, and then we'll get that rocking and rolling. So, all right.
And some of these people, all of you have been here longer than many of us. So there might be people that you recollect that would love to be a part of it, someone we're not thinking about, or even ideas. We've kind of formed a committee to make sure that the events are taken care of well. So if you do come up with ideas, or people that we might like to contact, give us a call, shout, email, what have you.
Sure, sure. GAP committee does some really nice things. If there's other things that we can do here, we're happy to do that. All right then, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Everybody good with that? All right. Have a very good week, and until next time.